Playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others won't feel insecure around you. These are two of my favorite lines from one of my favorite poems by Marianne Williamson. Now, the poem itself was made popular by the movie Coach Carter, starring Samuel L. Jackson. But the moment I heard this poem, it automatically resonated with me. Because the poem itself talks about why it's okay to stand out, why it's okay to be different. We're all unique. Bottom line is, it's our differences that make us special. We were created by our Creator, but we were created to be individuals. We were not created to be like everybody else. So do not worry about conforming. You need to be yourself, because that's really the true content of you. Myself, I went through my own, what I call my own process to greatness, probably a couple years ago now. March 2020 is when it all started. Mom was diagnosed with cancer, and then dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. So they passed away within a year and 10 days of each other. I spent those 2 years looking after them. Now, I'm not saying it was a curse, because it turns out with COVID being around, it turned out to be a blessing for me, because I got to spend some great time with them. But at the same time, it drained me. So when they passed, I had a couple decisions to make. I was bewildered as to what to do next. My eldest daughter said, "Coach, Dad, why don't you take care of yourself?" I said, "Wow, it's a great idea." So at that moment, I had a decision to make. It could be like everybody else and mourn the loss of two great people, or it could be different and create a legacy for them to be proud of. So I started my journey, what I call my health journey. And through that, I was able to achieve my own personal level of greatness. And it was, what it did for me was so awesome. Throughout my journey, I was able to live the process. I've always talked about being great and what it takes to be great. But during the process, I was able to live the process to personal greatness. Coach, what are you talking about? What is this process you're talking about? Well, the process really comes down to having steps in place. The steps are acceptance/awareness, action, and accountability. You get those three working together, everything else will work. I like to say it's a spoke like a wheel, a process. You can't have one without the other. In the fitness biz, we say you can't out-train a bad diet, but you need to be able to follow the process. It changed me. It changed me, not only physically, mentally, my attitude. People would come up to me and say, "Coach, you not only look great, you look happy. You look relaxed." And I am. I'm more proud of myself, the achievements I've done, the work I've done. I'm able to be happier and relaxed about who I am and how I can continue to inspire others. Let's talk about that process that I keep talking about. That's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today. Action. I'm sorry, I always say action first. Acceptance/awareness. You need to be aware of where you are, but more importantly, of where you want to go. I like to say you need to have goals. Not just goals, but you need to have what I like to call a mega goal. Like, I'm talking a huge goal. Reach for the moon. Go ahead and reach for the moon. Because I guarantee you, you reach for the moon, you're going to reach a few stars along the way. And that's what it's about. Setting yourself up with steps along the way so you can reach those stars and enjoy those stars on your way to your moon. But if you don't have a goal in place, you don't know what you're working for. And that's where the action comes The awareness comes into play. Then you got to be able to accept your situation, but don't settle. I got to repeat, don't settle for your situation. Accept you need to change. Accept help from others. And that's where the action comes into play. Action Jackson gets all the glory. Key thing for action is work with a coach. I'm going to come back to action. I could spend a good 30, 40 minutes talking about action like I do during my regular talks. But you got to be aware of a couple things. First of all, true success is not sexy. You got to be willing to do the work. Do the work, and then you become accountable for your work. Accountability. We must hold ourselves accountable for our actions. Look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, that was a great day. Or, yeah, it's going to be a great day. Have yourself be held accountable. Because you're going to be held accountable by your customers, by your staff, and hopefully your partner. They hold you accountable. For me, it's my parents and my students, parents of my players, my students and my players for that matter, hold me accountable. And once you're accountable for your actions, you then know what adjustments need to be made. Once you're willing to hold yourself accountable, you can make those adjustments that people tell you to make. So you make those adjustments, you become aware of the decisions, you go back to action, and you do the work. That's what I was talking about, doing the work. There's no easy step to greatness or success. There's no lottery ticket out there that you can buy. Hard work is the ultimate. It's amazing how many feeds I was getting on my Instagram about these t-shirts that hide your beer belly and contour to hide your belly. I didn't want those. I wanted to do the work. Because the work is where things happen. It's where the process happens. It reminds me of a story of my ladies, my players I have. Big game a couple years ago. How do you determine whether we went on to the finals or not? We were down by double digits in the first quarter. Double digits in that at half. I said to the girls, just keep grinding. You got this. And they said, don't worry, coach, we got you. Sure enough, they grinded away and grinded. And step by step, they chipped away at that lead. We got the victory. The feeling of exhilaration and pride afterwards was overwhelming. Memorable. So much so I remember it years later. I can't tell you who the top players were. I can't tell you who was outstanding on defense, but I can tell you the pride we felt from that hard work because we worked together and we fought through it. Those are the things that you're going to remember. Those accomplishments you make, those little stars along the way. How did we get there? We worked together. How did I get through my journey? I worked with a coach. Now, my daughter's pet peeve, I have 4 of them. My daughter's pet peeve is self-development books don't give me the steps I need to work on. And I'm going to justify that, saying, yeah, that's right, they don't. In my book, I write about the process to greatness. I write about what you can expect along the way, what steps you need to take. But I cannot, and no book cannot give you specific details you need for your journey. Because everybody's journey is different. Everybody's going to have subtle differences in what they need to get done. I'll give you the overall, what to expect. But you need to have those subtle differences. My coach, my trainer, she gave me a program geared towards me, not towards the guy next door, towards me, structured to my weight, my activity, my calories. When I work with my players on their skill development, I work on skills that are applicable to them. My best player, I had her working on moves she's never done before because she'd mastered the other ones. Other ones are working on basic post moves. Other ones on dribbling. You got to be able to have a coach who's willing to work individually with you. When you work individually with someone, they can structure that content so you're not stuck on a hamster wheel. I've been on that hamster wheel. I've grinded. I've been in that hole. I didn't have the proper ladder to get out. I didn't have the steps needed to get out. I didn't have a coach. Get yourself a coach, mentor / consultant who can give you that ladder and steps to success. You do that, it's going to be a game changer. Now, I'm going to be neglectful if I don't mention a couple things. One, I'm available for in-person presentations. I speak to youth at schools all across the country. I also have a book available, Process to Personal Greatness. Be Different, Be Great, available on Amazon. But let me tell you about my journey, because you keep asking me, what's this journey you're talking about? 296 pounds, 6'1". Dropped down to 216 pounds. 80 pounds lost and maintained through hard work. Not only changed me physically and mentally, as I mentioned before, but it helps me be authentic when I'm working with people. Because I can tell my players, I can tell my coach, I can tell my students to work hard because I'm an example of what hard work can do. I hold myself accountable on TikTok on my fitness account. I'm an example of hard work results because I've done the work. I've been there. I know how hard it is. And that's why I wrote the book, because I wanted to share with you the great things you're going to feel along the way, as well as negative things you're going to feel along the way. It's a great thing to be successful. On your journey, it's going to get tough at some points, but keep going. The other thing that's very important for you to know, you're going to look around, you're going to see other successful people. I want you to look at them. I want you to study them. But I don't want you to compare them to yourself. Because the moment you compare someone else's success level to yours, you've already set yourself up for failure. Determine your own level of success. But use those people as inspirations. Say, hey, look how hard they're working. I can do that too. I work hard, I can get results. That's what it's about. Using them as inspiration. Or in my case, I look at people who are successful and I'm thinking, what? I can do that. No, I can do that better. So I use them as inspiration. So I've talked about the key steps to greatness. I've talked about acceptance / awareness, action, and accountability. Now, I'm going to be upfront. I've only given you a little tidbit of each of those steps. I've only summarized each of those steps because they are so important that they can't be glossed over. But what I can tell you is the process is crucial. You can't have one without the other. And what you have to find out throughout the whole process is you got to find your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you waking up in the morning early? Why are you pushing yourself? You find your why, and that's going to act as your fuel for everything you do. When you're driving through that snowstorm, when you're going through that extra set, or you're skipping that donut to have an apple instead, that's your why. Your why is unique to you. Nobody else. It's your why. Do not play small to serve the world. There's nothing in life about shrinking so others won't feel insecure around you. Remember those lines. You were meant to shine. You were meant to be your true, authentic self. Most of all, you were meant to be different and be great. So I want you, no matter what you do, be true to yourself. Hey, thank you for listening. It's been a great time.